And welcome to the Hot Bizfluent podcast, where we get all up in your business. So let's talk. Today's guests are brought to you by Crush City Realty Group, your premier Houston real estate experts, and luxury real estate agent Alyssa Emmons, where everything she touches turns to sold. And finally, Kovo Capital, fast, flexible financing for all your commercial lending needs. This podcast is for informational purposes only. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the Bizfluent podcast or management. Don't forget to stay to the end to find out how to get some of our amazing merch. Now let's get down to business.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Bizfluent podcast. Here we are again. This is episode number 9. Today we have a special guest, but as you can hear my co-host chomping a bit to get here on screen. Here we are, Miss Alyssa.
And I've magically changed into another outfit.
Well, dude, you do change pretty quick. So, but just in case anybody didn't notice, I accidentally didn't realize when we recorded our pre-showing, I forgot to remove this little overlay. So everybody knows we're using StreamYard, but hey, they're not paying me to say anything, so I'm not going to say anything about them. I use them. Let's just leave it at
that. One day.
So, dude, today we have a special guest. You have been talking about this guest, I don't know, for what, 2 or 3 weeks now. And she's usually pretty quick. So we've been waiting for a spot that somebody left open. And so today we have this wonderful lady. Josh, why don't you tell us who she is?
Yeah, I'm really excited to these type of guests when we get them on add value, not just by information, but also the type of guest this is also brings immediate return on investment, because they can literally spec out the type of return that they'll give you before you even sign any paperwork or before you pay them. So I love this type of guest. Her name is Laura Harper. We're actually doing a ton of stuff with her with Kovo Capital as far as joining forces on some things. But she works for Integrity Tax Advisors, and she's just an amazing woman, lots of energy, and really passionate about her job and trying to help people, which is something we can all relate to, us three here. Is I think when you find successful people, the one determining factor on if that person's gonna be successful for you is how passionate are they about being able to help you, not just make the money on it, but to actually help you in it. So with that said, let's bring Laura on and let's find out more about Integrity Tax Advisors. Hey, Laura.
Hello. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good. It's good to meet you.
Yes, absolutely. So happy to be here on this rainy Knoxville day. It's very cloudy out here. So
it just stopped raining here in Houston too. So we're right there with you.
Man,
at least we're not getting a hurricane. Sorry, Florida.
No.
Sorry, Florida. That's why I left Florida 5 years ago.
My wife just got back from Tampa last week, and she was all, "We should move here. This is amazing. This is beautiful." Yeah, it's more cost. And I'm like, babe, that's why we're not moving there. They have hurricanes all the time.
Yeah,
and if you're really lucky, no,
and it costs more.
Yeah, but
honestly, like moving to Knoxville, my hair has never looked better. I'm so over the humidity of Florida; it's not even funny.
A woman
so
after my wife's heart.
So tell us a little bit about give us a little bit about Integrity Tax Advisors here.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. I used to own my own business with my husband, and I used to fix and flip houses. And I was always thinking, how can I get out of paying taxes? How can I get around this? So I did what my CPA always told me to do. I went and bought stuff. So I bought an RV and I made it my mobile showroom. And I did all of the tricks that you usually can do when you own a business that a CPA tells you. And after I left flipping houses, I started in the business consulting world, and I met with my attorney, Mike Fussell. And I was just like, Mike, this is amazing, because what most small business owners don't know about are statutory tax breaks. So the large corporations use these. Why aren't we as a small business community using statutory tax breaks? And I didn't know a lot of it was because of entity structure. How you lay out your business is what lays out the statutory tax breaks. So what I've realized is you really need to know what entity structure you should be in and how to structure your entities on a dual purpose to take advantage of maybe a C corporation like the large corporations do, and figure out ways to not pay the double taxation. So if you could create a C corporation that provides asset protection and you don't have to pay a double taxation on that, but now you have access to all the fringe benefits that the Fortune 500 companies are using that the lobbyist fought for, why wouldn't you want to look at something like that? So that's kind of why I got into this business. It's because there are companies like ourselves that do analysis. They check out what you're doing and kind of share with you, hey, if you did it this way, it might be a little different than the way you're currently structured. Why don't you take a look?
You're blowing my mind right now.
Is that blowing your mind? I know.
It is blowing my mind because I don't know that I knew that a service. I'm looking on my other screen because I've got your website up. I didn't know that a service like this even existed. Like the only way that I've ever figured out how to structure or like how to set up my company was like, oh, well, I should have I should just have an LLC, right? Like that's
right. And that's what like most of the small businesses do. They're like, well, we just have an LLC because we want the asset protection, right?
Yeah,
that's a good thing. But there's so much more.
But it may not be the best option.
Yeah. Well, and also entity structure is a legal functionality. So our CPA community tends not to give entity structure advice because they don't want to practice law without a license. So you think, oh, I got to get an attorney. Well, attorneys are expensive. I don't want to hire an attorney. I can't afford that. But a service like ours that's out there it's completely complimentary. We do the analysis. And if we find you some savings, you use the savings that you were going to give to Uncle Sam, and instead you reallocate that money that you were given to Uncle Sam. You send a little bit to the companies to set up these entity structures properly, and then you keep the difference every year after. So there's not a lot of companies like what we do out there, but if you could come across a company like ours where they're going to give you a complimentary analysis, they're going to set up your entity structure and all your corporate formalities, you definitely want to look into something like that.
So, and you do them for all 50 states?
Yes. I have a client in Hawaii right now that my attorney is going to go deliver her package. I'm like, wait, I need to go.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
that with you in Hawaii.
I don't think Josh realizes the repercussions of bringing you on here, because now I'm going to go kick his butt the next time I see him in person, which is just in a couple of hours. So today he's lucky that my back is
I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to see you.
No, he can't lift his leg like higher than an inch off the ground because he pulled a muscle. Like you're good.
Trust me.
Today,
here's the deal. I can make sure that his wife beats him for me.
Yeah, that's not a joke. That's not a joke.
This is amazing, Alyssa. Come on, guys. Some more questions. What do you got?
I don't even know where to.
So
I gotta get one for you.
while you're
like, what?
When you're a business owner, why do you set up an LLC? You think of asset protection,
right?
Well, did you know if you don't have your corporate formalities put into place, which is like your minutes and your annual reports and things of that nature, you don't have asset protection.
No,
so if an employee gets hurt on the job, they're going to sue you for the insurance, and then a good attorney is going to look to see if you have your corporate formalities in place, and if you don't, that's when they could pierce the corporate veil. So a service like ours, we're going to make sure you understand your corporate formalities and what they actually mean, so that every year we guarantee you have that asset protection.
So what you're saying is LegalZoom was not the way to go.
Well, as long as you're doing it correctly, we want to make sure you're doing it correctly. I don't know how, just make sure you're doing it right. And that's important when you own a business. I mean, I work with a lot of contractors. They got trucks on the road. They go out and they buy a truck, and then they're like, well, how do I get asset protection? No. First, you needed the LLC, which is your equipment entity. And then you put the truck in the LLC. Because if you do it the other way, then you're going to have to pay tax on that vehicle twice. So there's rules to everything that we do. And we teach guys and gals, we teach business owners the right way to do it,
So I just to, and I really, we make sure we try to stay as clean as possible and stay away from politics as much as possible. But in this situation, what you're saying really is bringing to light what Donald Trump said to Hillary Clinton when she accused him. She's like, "You don't pay taxes, blah blah blah," and he said, he said, something along those lines. Yes, because I'm smarter than you. And really, what you're saying is it's not that he's smarter. He's got himself people that are smarter than him that avoid paying taxes.
You're only as good as the resources around you.
I have a wonderful
100%.
video. I have a wonderful video of Trump saying, the only reason why I don't pay taxes is because I have a team of people looking for what I'm missing. And
for legal outs. That's, I mean, that's, we should take advantage of, if the rules are laid out, the only goal for you is to follow the rules, but find every single loophole and every single rule you can get around that still makes you legal, but in that gray area where it's like, I'm good to go, and make the savings, because that's the game. And they're going to do the same, and they're going to do the same thing against you. If they find anything in there, you happen to get audited, they are going to look for every single penny they can get. It's a game. It's a battle.
What I will tell you though, and I've seen so many TikTok videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like straight up audit risk. I saw one the other day of a lady that was talking about writing off her dog, their mental health dog, or what do they call those things?
Emotional support
animal. Did you know you can write everything off? Their food, their this, and I'm like, okay, guys, like, let's just tone it down. If you want an audit, go ahead and write your dog off. That's your emotional support animal. But what a good attorney is going to do is not put high risk in front of a business owner. So when we're looking at statutory tax breaks, we're only putting stuff that have been around for decades. I mean, our attorney has been doing this 27 years and his elders taught him these same strategies. Yeah. So we're not you want a good attorney to tell you what to actually run. Because if you run a strategy where you're using your dog to save $50 a year, you might run into a hiccup. So you definitely want what's tried and true, black and white, by the books, and doesn't run a risk of an audit.
Can you repeat too what you said earlier about CPAs? Because I want to make sure people heard that point. And because I think some people probably missed it and are going, yeah, but my CPA. So say that part again, just so we can make sure everyone hears and understands why a CPA does not tell you this.
We're going to look at it this way. Your CPA is your primary care doctor, and an attorney is a surgeon. Well, if you break your leg, you may go to the primary care doctor, but you're really going to go to the surgeon because he needs to put it all back together. The difference between a CPA and an attorney is the CPA cannot give legal entity structure advice. You may hear them say, I think you should go with a ... and here is why, but they can never say you should go with this entity structure because if you do, we know for a fact we can save you X, Y, and Z.
So the thing that's mind-boggling to me, though, is this. So like what you just said is not news to Alyssa and I, because that's one of the things that we as real estate agents get tasked with all the time is do not practice law. Don't practice law. Don't practice law. Don't practice law. Hey, do you really need to put this in special provisions? Are you about to practice law? And so we get that drilled in our heads all the time. And it's really easy for us to be like, hey, I can't say that. If you want to send me what you want verbatim that I can copy and paste out of an email, and I can literally tell the lawyer that in this lawsuit that this is hers and I can prove it, then I'm okay with it. But if you just want me to try to come up with some roundabout verbiage, not happening because I can't practice law. But nobody has ever told me that CPAs are bound by the same rules. If they would have just said, hey, by the way, CPAs are treated the same way as real estate agents, where they're tax professionals, but they're not tax lawyers. They're not entity lawyers. Then I would have never even tried to go find a CPA. That was literally my next task here over the next month was to find a CPA, because my wife and I are going to form a new entity to be paid by KW to me direct. Cause I one thing that I know that, if you go back to talking to Donald Trump, like everybody sees Trump this, Trump that, he doesn't own anything. Like he doesn't own his cars. He doesn't own his houses. He doesn't own, he makes 150 grand a year from in salary. Right. And it's like pocket chump change to him, but that's because everything is written off through other companies. So
or putting assets or.
I do want to say this though. You need a good CPA, because what we do and what the CPA does are totally different. Like the CPA is going to do all your compliance work. They're going to make sure that your numbers are running correctly. They're going to make sure that all of your different categories in the right section. They're going to make sure all of that is perfect on their end. What a good attorney is going to do is they're going to look to see what else is out there that you're missing out on. So they're going to make sure that if you're in a C corporation, you're using X, Y, and Z strategies and you know exactly how they work. So what our team would do is teach you how the strategies work, teach you how the money moves. It goes from the S Corp to your personal, and you target that as written as X, Y, Z. This one goes from the S to the C, and we mark it as X, Y, Z. We teach you the accounting methodologies, which creates all this savings.
So if you don't mind me saying, I think that a really good way to put this for today is that we're kind of in a short form, right? Like, so we've only got about another 15 to 20 minutes left with you. And so I want to make sure we get as much information, and we're asking decent questions, and you've got so much information. I know we're going to have you on again, if you're willing anyway.
Yes,
and so maybe so that we can formulate questions that will actually help out people. Let's start in a direction. And I think I'm going to be a little bit,
do it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and steal the show. So for instance, so in all honesty, my wife and I are we are going to form a company, and we were thinking about starting an S Corp so that we could set ourselves up with like some really tiny, small salaries, and then I never get paid by Keller Williams ever again. And my thought is lease my condo to my company, all this, like a bunch of stuff listed out. So I'm an idiot, and that's just my thoughts. So talk me through this, and what's the cost? I mean, I want my viewers to know this idiot's about to get
listeners, right? Because podcasts are audio.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so listen, you're going into business.
Yep.
The S corporation, we want for your main operating entity. And the reason being is because you don't have to pay self-employment tax. So you save on 15.3% of your earnings through distributions. You will have to pay yourself a small W-2, which is fine. With the Trump's Tax Act, you do get to use the with the Trump's Tax Act, you get to write off 20% of your profits. And when you're ready to sell the business, you want the business to be in an S corporation. Okay. What I would say is now we're going to add that C corporation that I was talking about and not pay double taxation on it, because what you're going to do is take your little paycheck, pull it out of that S corporation, put it in the C corporation, and we're going to create an employee leasing company. Basically, this is a little asset protection company that pulls you out of your main operations where all your money is. The C corporation, now you have access to all the statutory tax breaks without paying a double taxation. So now you get to use all of Trump's wonderful little ideas inside that S corporation that you wouldn't have been able to get before without paying double taxes.
Before you go any further, can you explain the difference between an S Corp and a C Corp?
In the easiest terms, an S corporation is for a small business community. The C corporation is for those large Fortune 500 companies. So if you have 120 members in a company on an S election and you have 121, now you have to become a C corporation. So it's not members, owners. So it all depends on the amount of owners and investors and shareholders and things of that nature. So most small businesses won't get a C corporation because they don't want to pay the double taxation. So they'll just be the S election. Did that make sense?
Sorry,
you basically
I forgot I
move
was
to
on
the
mute.
C
Yeah.
when your company is way too big.
Okay. Got it.
So all of our small businesses are going to stay a C or an S over here. S. I'm backwards. It's throwing me off. So all the small businesses want to stay an S corporation and they want to have a C corporation with a minimal functionality. Asset protection is the key. But the trick to the asset protection is having all of the fringe benefits, cafeteria plans, writing off health insurance, writing off all of those extra bonuses that they don't get by having that S election.
Right.
Learning how to pay your employees with tax-free money. All the extras that come along with a C Corp that you don't have access to by being an S or an LLC, single member or partner.
Laura, you had mentioned, and I agree, and I hope people take that point as well, that you still need a good CPA. For you
100%.
guys specifically, when you come into the equation and you guys go through this, the customer starts to understand. Is this something also that you guys work with the CPA, their CPA on?
1000%. If you love your CPA, we love your CPA. We work hand in hand with your CPA.
Love our CPA.
Yes. I mean, we'll have meetings.
If you hate your CPA, will you off them?
No. I mean, Italian from Jersey. I could
That's right.
potentially off somebody, but I'm not gonna.
She's from Jersey too? You
yeah,
didn't tell me that.
Jersey girl.
Where? You're not from Camden.
Nutley.
I know that.
Nutley, New Jersey.
Where's Nutley at?
Nutley. Do you watch The Sopranos? Tony Soprano's house was in Nutley, New Jersey.
Nutley's always down south.
So what exit?
By Newark.
Okay.
It's near Newark in that
Oh,
area.
okay. So
Newark.
So I don't know how I've never seen Nutley. My wife is from Elizabeth.
Okay. Yeah. I know where that is.
Okay, cool.
So listen, don't replace the CPA. We don't replace the financial advisor, the accountant, the bookkeeper, anybody that is on their team. Estate planner, we don't replace. If they already have a tax attorney, we just did a delivery about a month ago. The tax attorney came to the presentation where Mike went through the tax package and showed the client everything. Like, this is when you become a client, you get to see all of your strategies with dollar amounts. And as long as these pages are filled out every year, you're guaranteed these savings because we break them down by category and dollar amount, which is awesome. But the CPA and the attorney that was sitting in on that meeting said to his client, I like Mike. This is a really great product and you did well by moving forward with this. I was a little nervous. I'm like, listen, this attorney isn't going to go, nutso on my mic. My attorney is he? And he's like, no, it's all good.
So y'all are not just a service that's there in the beginning in the formation. Like, you stay on with the business owner.
Yeah.
And annually give them updates.
We help them with exit strategy. So as of right now, Mike has 7 files on his desk of packages he did 15 years ago. They're ready to sell the business. So now Mike needs to find out, is this going to be an asset sale? What's the best avenue? How are we going to go about it? And he's helping them write contracts and try and reduce their capital gains exposure. And these were clients from 15 years ago. So once you're a client for life. And then there's a one-time fee to what we do. So Circular 230 says that Mike can only charge once, which is amazing. So you pay the fee once, you write it off. And then you've got an attorney, a cell phone in your pocket. If you have questions about write-offs, you either text me, you text Mike, you get the answers that you're looking for. It's really phenomenal.
Now, let me understand that too. So you've got these 7 on your table that you're going to have help them with an exit strategy. There's no fee assessed with that. They've already paid it.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
when
really
you
cool.
become a client, we do look at entity structure. So we're going to restructure you. We're going to show you all the savings. The savings are the bonus of everything, but we do help with estate planning. So do you need a will? Do you need a trust? We can help you work through both of those. Right. We look at retirement. Now, we're not financial advisors, but hey, right now you're in this plan, but if you moved over to this plan, look at where your tax savings could benefit. So we do give advice on retirement, have our client go to their financial advisor to implement. Mike sometimes does meetings with the financial advisor and says, hey, this is my thought process. What do you think? We have those conversations often. And then we help with the exit of the business. Like we structure them today as if they're going to sell in 5 years. So people that are looking to purchase a business, what are they going to be looking for? Boom. We make sure that we cover all that from the very beginning. Day one, we want to make sure they're structured right.
Now, let's say to this point, everyone is obviously amazed, not just by you, but the information you offer. But so what is a typical, I'm guessing I know, but let's say for the viewers, what do you need to prepare yourself for to hand off to evaluate you guys? Is it a typical financial package? Run us through that.
Oh, it's super simple. All we look at 3 years tax returns. So we want to look at your personal and corporate. Why 3 years? Because what if your CPA did miss something? What if he didn't take advantage of the 20% tax write-off? What if he missed something? We want to be able to look and check. If he did miss something, we have the CPA amend it, right? So we bring it back to them, have them amend it. And then we just look for like a balance sheet, profit and loss, like kind of where they are this year. And off of that, we build out a tax package. You have a conversation with Mike via Zoom. The first step is you meet with me and I ask you a couple of questions about the business. What are some of the headaches that you're going through? And, just run through the basic questions of what you're doing. And then we send you a secured portal. That's where you upload your docs. Once we get your documents, Mike goes to town and he puts together an analysis. And then after that, we all meet up. Mike, we ask the wives to be involved, husbands to be involved. If they're in the business, it's a decision that affects everybody. So, and then we just kind of lay it out there. So for example, I just did a client last week, or on Monday, they moved forward. Their savings were $55,000 every year. So they did pay us a one-time fee of $32,000, but that $32,000 was a write-off. And then they keep the difference this year. And then they also keep that savings every single year after. So like the ROI on that was like $300,000 over the course of 5 years. It's pretty substantial.
So also speak to, you kind of said it, but I just want to reiterate this point too, that not only are you guys looking at savings going forwards, but you guys are reviewing things that have happened in the last 3 years. So there could be savings even from the last 3 years that your CPA just happened to miss. And even more so, I would say small business wise, probably, I would say it's, and I'm making a guess here. I'll look it up after I say it. So hopefully I'm not wrong, but probably about 60% of small businesses aren't even using CPAs. They're using bookkeepers, which is which is a good tool to use too, but you're less and less, you get what you pay for. And so you might even have some losses there that will be discovered in this too. So you guys have multiple approaches to find savings. And again, it's year to year savings. It's not one time a year type savings.
Absolutely. Once you set it up, it rolls over every single year. You never have to worry about it. Once it's up and running, it just continuously flows for the life of the business, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I know Alyssa was supposed to leave at 3:05, but I guess she jumped off early. That was weird.
No, I had an emergency. I had to go and alleviate, but because of my back, it's not like I can just pop in and out. And so it's an ordeal. And
well, I was commenting on Alyssa because I was like, I thought she was leaving at 3:05. Anyways.
So, while I was using the restroom, she texted and said her power just went out.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the life of a podcast, that we go through all types of technological, but we go right through it, man. We don't care.
No. And
my glitches, your glitches. Oh, there she is.
Yeah, she's back. So I said I popped out because I had an issue with a bladder. That's it. No power, no internet. Just. I've started working out, and since I started working out, I'm drinking 3 times more fluid than I'm used to, and things fill up faster than I'm used to. So
And we're old, JP. We're
It must
old.
be a man
Yeah,
thing. My
we're old.
husband's the same way. I'm like, can't you just hold it? I mean,
No.
come
So
on.
that's not fair because I literally can drive from here to Sierra Vista, Arizona, which is 1,200 miles, and stop 4 times. So it's not a problem with holding it. I can hold it. I've sat in many a deer blind in my life holding it. So, but increase in fluids, like I'm drinking a gallon of water a day plus all the other stuff I drink outside of
Now, Laura, you'd really impress me. Can you guys help with that?
Impressive.
You have solutions for that now.
Did
No,
you ask
well,
me a question?
I didn't even know you had a question, Alyssa.
I text both of y'all.
You did.
Oh,
and I didn't see. She asked what size company.
No,
So go ahead, ask. You're here. Go for it. Go for it.
Hey, listen. The lady that's going into Hawaii, she's a single entrepreneur. She fixes and flips houses by herself. Then I also have a 100 employee company. If you have a tax bill and you're paying, anywhere from 15,000 plus a year, we need to talk. Because that's ultimately the bottom line. You can be a single owner and structure yourself to still save anywhere from 20 to 30,000, 40,000 a year.
So
I even have a client that just signed up the other day. She didn't have a huge tax bill. So guess what happens to her? She turns into a little mini corporation where she gets money back at the end because she's reducing her profits by utilizing these strategies to where she's not gonna have a tax bill anymore.
And the awesome part is when you've got a lender like Josh who can take and go and look at your stuff, it doesn't matter what your taxes are. It's not like you're trying to buy a house and you're trying to prove that your personal income is enough to cover the cost. And so you have to show what your taxed income is. It's a business. And you just have to make sure that from now on, you don't buy houses. Your business does. And then you rent houses from your business.
Yeah.
So question. So we talked about, something as small as something I wanted to get started.
Mm-hmm.
What's the cost? What's the lowdown on a guy like me looking to start something small?
Let's say the cost. Wasn't Alyssa going to ask one question?
We did. I asked it because she texted it and then she jumped on.
Oh, you asked it in the okay. I just wanted to make sure before we
text, and so then I stole it from her while she was on.
Shame.
Well, I was trying to say, let me ask the question, but it's fine. We got the answer. Keep going.
Wah, wah, wah.
Even after I literally say I'm not going to run her over, I still run her over. I'm sorry.
So here's the bottom line. That client that I was talking about, her savings came in at around 15,000. So that's what her savings are.
Yep.
Mike does need to make a commission. So we typically say around 13 to 15 is our lowest. 13 to 15,000. Okay. Yep. So her savings on 15 came out to 13,750. So I had to explain to her, hey, listen, the first year might be a wash. You're not gonna pay. You're gonna write this off. But every year after, you're not gonna have another tax bill.
It's the knowledge of the future savings.
But you know why she was stoked? She was stoked because she needed succession planning. She needed estate planning. She doesn't have a will. She doesn't have trust. She was stoked because she's like, hey, I need to set up retirement. The way I have it set up is a little different than it should be. She was excited about all the extras. I want to sell the business in 5 years. I have somebody that's interested. So, it all really depends on the client. So, it's not
nice.
Yeah. But for somebody that's, like larger in commission where we're saving them 60 grand, they don't mind paying 30
God, no.
to save 60,
Well, and still it's, you're saving 60 this year. And okay, so you have half of it that you pay, but then when you save 60 next year, and then
I don't even look at it as savings because you were paying 60 to Uncle Sam. Sure, so you actually saved 30 this year.
Yeah.
And you're writing off another 30. So you're reducing your profits another 30 and you saved 30. So you're ultimately saving either way. But yeah, because it's more of a reallocation of funds. Because you don't do this, you're still paying 60 grand to Uncle Sam.
No, that's awesome.
So it's like
So
a no net cost is what they call it, a no net cost, because you owe the money anyways.
So do you do consultations prior to make sure that it makes sense?
Yeah.
And how much? What's your base consultation fee?
That's free. That's complimentary. So we're going to do a complimentary tax analysis. Yep. I usually book about 15-minute calls with potential clients, ask them a few questions. From there, then we send a secured portal to them for them to upload 3 years tax returns and then a balance sheet, profit and loss. And then once we get their information, Mike runs the analysis, and then we will schedule a call. Mike will jump on for 15 minutes to meet the client, say hi, kind of run through a couple of questions that he has during the actual analysis. And then he jumps off and we kind of run through the rest together with me and the client. And
So Mike obviously hasn't passed the bar in all 50 states. So what is it that allows him to actually practice law?
You don't know that he hasn't.
Let me put it this way: Mike hasn't passed the bar in all 50 states.
No, Mike is not licensed in every single state. So this is considered tax consulting. Okay. So he is tax consulting in all 50 states. So if there are legal documentations that are needed, he does not write them per state. However,
we'll have referrals.
Yeah.
It's the same way it's the same way we kind of operate on the lending side of things, consulting versus.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
So he's not,
So are you ready? Are you ready? Because this is when
Laura, I didn't prep her for this either.
Yeah. So this happens to everybody, and it happens this way on purpose. And so you have 15 seconds. I need an elevator pitch. I need you to go now.
Okay. So structure yourself more like Fortune 500 companies. Stop leaving Uncle Sam a tip. You don't even get a birthday card. Call me and let's talk. If worst case scenario, you'll make a new friend if I can't find you any savings.
Love it.
Heck yeah. That was a great way. It was great. You didn't even look like you were put on the spot. No. It kind of makes me disappointed in me.
I believed in her.
So, and I like the way you put it, because here's the deal: is stop paying Uncle Sam a tip, because he's going to give you the whole shaft. So go ahead and get it done with now up front.
Alyssa's so embarrassed of our show this week.
This has been awesome. I want to do this more often.
It's fun.
Yeah. You will have to come back, because I'm gonna have to digest all of this.
Yeah.
You know what would be interesting is if we had, I've got a CPA that's gonna come on board, a good friend of mine around here. And I think that might be something, is where we kind of integrate both or some similars, so that they can kind of go back and forth on conversations and questions.
You're in the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll put them on the spot and see, okay, who's right, who's wrong.
What strategies are you doing? And I'm going to tell them, you want the cake, you don't get the recipe until you buy the ingredients. That's always
she can only reveal so much. Yeah, I have a lot of I have the same thing on my end. So they always want the answers.
We got to wrap up real quick, kind of get things rolling. We apologize. We're having to cut everything a little bit shorter than we had hoped to. We've had some technical difficulties that we definitely didn't plan on, some bodily, some electrical, and hey,
as long as we don't combine the two.
Yeah, right. So anyhow, Alyssa's like, I'm done with this. But Laura, we really appreciate you coming on our show. We really appreciate you putting up with us. This is way more information for everybody that anybody could ever digest in one sitting. We need to talk to you about coming on at least once every 6 months, if not once a quarter.
Yeah,
and we'll now, knowing, because he said, oh, we got a tax lawyer coming on. We're like, great, what the hell is a tax lawyer? And so now that we know what we're looking into, now we can start targeting our conversations with you, so we can be a little bit more purposeful with this conversation.
I feel like they don't trust me. I feel like y'all don't trust me.
I had no idea.
You pour a straight.
There's not a lot of mics out there, so
Right.
there are
I
a lot
found-
of tax attorneys out
I
there.
found the golden goose.
Yeah.
You did. You did.
And honestly, there's a lot of companies like that, and I hope that we can get more of them on that'll operate within different parts of the businesses. But that's how businesses should work. There's certain marketing's a really tough one. Marketing is actually probably the best example to use as far as something you have to invest in, and you really don't know what your return's going to be. You hope you get a good rate of return. But on the things that we can provide and resources we can provide through this show is really just to show you guys that there are things out there and it's hard to trust people. I mean, people get burned, and when you hear all this great news, sometimes it's hard to really let go and put that money forward, even when they're stating out how much you're going to save. But I think that's where we can build some credibility too with everybody, is saying, hey, these are the ones that we've already kind of looked through. We know that they're viable. We know that they're going to save you money. And if it fits for you, do it, because it's going to be something that saves you some money in the long run. And it just gives you that much more knowledge. You can't know everything.
No.
So you have to rely, you do have to rely on other people. No matter, I remember I used to pick, I love antiques, and I like the sale. I like finding a good deal and selling it off. And I talked to this lady that had to have been 76 years old. And she was like, and she goes,
clean out his garage.
yeah. The fire did most of the cleaning, but so she's 76 years old, and I'm asking her, I was like, yeah, but how do you find the good deal? She goes, honestly, I can't always know everything. She goes, I had a guy come in here and pick out some bottles, and he's holding them, and he happened to be a lawyer, and he's holding them, and she goes, I have this priced, and I have a feeling I don't have it priced right. What's with these bottles? And they end up being these rum bottles from pirate times, and they're worth like $9-10 grand a piece, and she's got them all for like $500, and there's 4 of them. And she goes, hey, I can't win them all, and I can't know everything, but that's why you got to reach out, and that's why you got to have a support system around you and resources around you. So hopefully we can help with that with our viewers, and hopefully you can directly help those people and some of our viewers.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming on, and we're looking forward to see you again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
It was blessed meeting you. You have a good one.
Okay. Bye.
I want a different hair color by the next one. Ah, she didn't hear me.
And she heard you still. Yeah, she's still on listening.
No, we had a good time in our conversation, and we're actually going to bring a lot of what she does into our the way we onboard customers, because again, we've talked about this so many times about not just being good at your practice, but being a resource in the industry that you serve so that you can better serve your clients, because it's not just about having a good product anymore. It's about or service. It's about how much, bye Alyssa. It's about how much you can be as a partner with these clients and helping them grow. And man, it's rewarding, man. It warms my heart when someone comes back like, hey, thank you so much. I don't even need to make money on it. I know JP does this all the time.
It's not about it. I don't have to make money for every transaction. If anything, the less money I make, again, it comes down to the value proposition, right? Like the whole thing is how much value do I bring versus the price I command? And having somebody like Laura on my side where I can send my clients that are about to go spend and buy $1 million buildings that think they have their stuff set up right. Why can't I send them to her, have a free consultation, and then spend 15 grand? I mean, 15 grand is a lot of money. That's a chunk.
Well, they might be, now that's the base price. They might be a little bit more on someone who's doing a building.
Well, I mean, and what it winds up being, I don't know, but I'm just saying, even at $15,000, you got to look at it and say, that's a chunk of change. But if I was about to spend 15 grand in taxes anyway, then, hey, so I might lose out on a little bit of money this year.
But it's a gain it's the gain the rest of the time.
And that's not just the rest of the time. That's the rest of my life.
Yep.
The rest of
the business life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I talk to, I coach a lot of people. I mentor a lot of people, and I talk about efficiency. I always tell people you can only be so good at something But being good at it is not what really makes when you see a successful person. It's about efficiencies. This is a tool, and this is a person and resource you can contact where you can literally make an efficiency that you didn't even know you could do. And now that carries on throughout the life of your business. And that's what you've got to do consistently. It's not about selling a better widget all the time. It's not about just process of building that widget. There's until technology comes in and like AI, we've talked about AI. AI is obviously going to have a change on people and make them efficient, but that's just process.
So that's something you saying this, and then her being here today just made me think about it. You know, there's no law in the books that says that the government can't use AI to build a more efficient tax machine. And
they will.
And not only will they probably already have been, and they're not talking about it. And at the end of the day, like, it's somebody like Laura and her people that already have the knowledge, and it's a wealth of knowledge spread across a large number of people through a large number of states, that they might not be able to talk to you about tax law, but federal tax law is really the kicker. And man, having somebody on your side that can be there so that when the little tax AI man comes through, you go, well, I'm already protected, so have a nice day. Like, how many people would love to tell the federal government to take a hike?
I send them a phone message every day on their voicemail. Makes me feel better. It's how I start my day. No, you know, when the IRS starts implementing more and more AI, I look at it the same way on the lending side. I think it's actually be a great benefit. Yeah, are they going to make more money? Yes, but it's going to be because they're themselves becoming more efficient. And just like I was telling you with credit cards, like they were saying with AI coming into the world, that, you know, lending will increase by 10% solely for the fact that they will feel, again, remember, it's risk versus reward on anything lending. So their risk has gone down, so they can now in turn increase how many more people might be accepted for that line of credit or that loan. So it's 100% a positive thing in lending, and I think with the IRS, because they're not going to add new rules to their tax structure unless obviously legislation passes to do that. But every single year you're going to see more efficiencies within there, because that's my biggest thing. That's why I hate the IRS myself, is because I have inefficiency issues with them. I've paid them I pay per quarter because I get a big tax bill at the end of the year. And so we pay every quarter the next year. And there's a little bit of interest, but no big deal. But they continually come back and say, oh, you didn't pay this. Oh, you didn't pay that. And I've got to go, and I know where it is, and I know I'm going to be able to take care of it, but it's time out of my day to go look for some bull and send it back to them and say, no. I've had it happen twice on the same tax bill. And then the next year they did the same thing. We're like, no, we got the receipts, y'all. Here's the receipts. It's just because there's no systems that are perfect. And then you throw human error into that, you know, who knows what'll happen. You throw DEI into that too and get untrained people. I mean, it makes it even worse. So I think AI is going to take care of some of that and balance the inaccuracies in some of the human error, but it's still going to be there to an extent.
Yeah. And I mean, we're never going to get rid of the error 100% until you get rid of humans 100%, and I'll be gone well before that happens. And so, you know, I mean, honestly, it's all a game. It's all a game. Everybody
learn to play the game. Learn to play the game.
And it's all chicken. It's just who's going to flinch first. So, you know, but yeah, no. So I think there's a great one, dude. Like, she's awesome. Like you said, she was awesome. But when you said she was awesome, I don't think that Alyssa or either one really fathomed or understood what awesome was in this case. And I mean, this is as important as Kyle is into getting your money set up so that you can be ready to retire. None of that matters if you can't get money to retire. and having somebody that's going to be there to help you protect your retirement, help you protect your cash flow, that is huge. And I mean, we're talking, man, I don't care how much money you make. If you're not an employee, if you're self-employed, this is something that's just stupid not to do.
Yep. Yeah. And hopefully we get more. Like I said, I've got a couple more guests I'm working on, and I hope we get, as we're getting more and more popular and people are following us and people are seeing things, and once we implement marketing and whatnot.
We just got our 1 million view or 1 million subscriber play button.
Did we really? It's good. It's platinum. It's palladium. No, platinum went down. So platinum. It's platinum and diamond coated. FYI, get your palladium. I'm telling you, palladium's going to go crazy soon. Just FYI. Yeah, I mean, just those type of guests dabbled in with some CEOs, dabbled in with some, business lawyers, business attorneys, because that's the great part about business is it affects so many different things, and it's not just one thing. You've got taxes, you've got law, you've got supply, you got manufacturing, you got sales tactics, you got AI, there's so many topics to talk about in business. We'll never run out of guests and topics to talk about. So
no, and so just to give people a heads up, next week we've got a restaurant tour. Restaurants are one of the largest small business startups here in the United States, especially with Houston being the fattest city right here. And in the United States, like we have 1 billion restaurants. And so restaurateurs, to find an actually truly successful restaurateur is really tough. And we have a restaurateur coming on next week. And then the week after that is a really tough market as well. It's my personal owner operator for Keller Williams. So every Keller Williams office is owner operated by a specific or by a different owner. And mine is about to be the proud owner of a third. We can't talk about the area yet. But he owns 2 and he has roughly 500 to 600 agents that work underneath him. That's a lot. That is not a small brokerage business. So we have him coming on the 9th. And so the next couple of weeks are going to be power packed as well, with some people that are going to be very unsuspecting. Man, it's amazing. Being an entrepreneur and knowing the entrepreneurs that we know, Josh and I are blessed to be surrounded by so much knowledge and understanding and expertise that it's just hard to grasp it all.
And that's what builds success. That's what builds success, 100%. Who you know and who you surround yourself with. I learned a long time ago. I remember when we first moved here 11 years ago to Seabrook, I'd gotten out of the oil field, didn't really know what I was going to do. Went and took a manager job at Home Depot because I knew we were going to be working on the house that we bought. And I was like, I'll get some deals. Found out you really couldn't, but I still got some stuff out of it. But the point of that is I remember my wife and I sat down and we talked about who we surrounded ourselves with. And this is on a personal level, but your personal level rubs off on your professional level. And so we were with Jeepers, which Jeepers are a great community. And we were also with other people that were in refineries and everything else. And I remember I go, man, that's great. And I bet I could go get a refinery job any day now, and do that for the rest of my life. But is it what I want to do? And so we looked at our friend circle and really went, okay, who do we want to be most like? Who do we think is successful? Who do we think emulates our goals? And where do I want to be? Where do I want to be? And I went from being at Home Depot as a department manager to vice president of a bank within 7 or 8 years. Yeah, 7, 8 years. And it really got me into the executive level of things and sales and where I wanted to be. And so this is the same thing with business. It's who are you surrounding yourself with? There's a stat around of 65, 70% of new restaurants fail. because when you were talking about restaurants, I was like, that's what pops in my head. But I would guess it's not just because restaurants are difficult or hard or harder than anything else. It's that I think too many people think I got a good recipe and I can be a business owner and have a restaurant and everyone's going to come. And so the reason those businesses are failing, and restaurants in particular, is because of the fact that people just don't surround themselves with enough resources. So with that, I hope as we go along, especially for people thinking of restaurants and getting into the restaurant world, pay attention, see the resources we're putting in front of you, and use those so that you cannot be the victim number of whatever it is, 65-75% of restaurants that don't. It's all about who you know and who you surround yourself with.
So I want to close this out one with two things. Number one, I'm a Christian man, and I say that with the as much in my heart as possible, and not meaning that as a haha, I'm better than you, just to give you an idea of who I am. But one of the things that I really like that Gandhi said is number one, be the change you want to see in the world. And it's an amazing thought, because so many people in this world look outwardly for why things aren't changing instead of looking in. And even JFK said, don't ask what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? He didn't mean the federal government. He meant, what is it that you can do? Can you pick up a bottle of trash while you're walking down the street? Can you stop and help out somebody that needs help? Can you change somebody's tire that's, an old person's tire that's struggling, or an injured person or a handicapped person? Can you help an old lady across the street? It's not the big things. And a really good way to judge who you are brings you to the second saying. And that second saying I wanted to close with is, you are the average of your 5 closest friends. If your 5 closest friends make 50 grand or less a year, I guarantee you make 50 grand or less a year. If you make 100 grand a year and your 5 closest friends don't make $500,000 a year, you're going to continue to make 100 grand a year. If you're tired of being an employee and you're surrounded by employees, you're going to remain an employee. If you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to set your own lifestyle, if you want to be your boss, and being your boss is not easier than being an employee.
That's a scary thing, to be responsible for your own.
Oh yeah.
That's a hard thing to lie on. Because every failure is yours. Who do you blame? The only one you can blame is yourself.
Shit rolls uphill, but when you're the one that's uphill, that's all there is. And it's kind of like what you were saying. You and Amy sat down and you did a personal inventory of friends. And it's not because you want to say your friends are trash. I have plenty of people that I know that make 50 grand a year, and it's not my business that that's where they're at. And if they're happy, then I'm happy for them. And I still love them and I cherish them for who they are.
I don't want people to think like I just ignored the people we decided to get out of our lives.
Yeah, no, not.
But it was a restructuring of the close knit friends. And if you apply that to business, same thing. Who is in your close circle that you trust for your business?
If I look at the difference between the friends I had today and the friends I had 10 years ago, we are in totally different places. If I look at my friends I had 5 years ago versus the friends I have now, we're in totally different places. And now the people I hang out with, like, man, they're not employees. Like, out of all of our friends, a couple of them are employees. Majority of them are entrepreneurs, business owners, to the point where even my wife, who's always loved having a secure job, has her own business. Like my wife has went out on a limb and said, I'm tired of working for people. I'm tired of people setting my schedule for me. And I'm tired of people telling me how much money I'm worth.
And
I'm worth this much. That's right. I'm worth this much money. And if you don't want to pay me that, then I'm not doing X, Y, and Z for you.
Yep.
So if you want that power, understand that power is, just like old Uncle Ben said, comes with great responsibility. You don't have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but you sure as hell bet your business is going to suffer if you don't. You don't have to show up to that noon meeting if you don't want, but you sure as hell bet that your business is going to suffer if you don't. And so when you're the boss, the buck stops with you. So if you make $5,000 or if you make $5 million, it's all because of the effort you put into it.
Yep.
I think that's a pretty good place to close, dude. I think Laura was freaking phenomenal. And man, it was a good show. Aside from my baby bladder filling up and Alyssa's electrical issues, man,
and me not prepping the guest.
Yeah, but nobody knew that until you got.
I never even thought of that, and then when she said that, I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess technically it could be just a."
Hey, all of you YouTube viewers, I don't know if you know this, but this podcast is a video podcast. I think
we may have sound as well later, but for now, I love the visual. I love the visual aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and we look damn good. So,
amen. And the Astros clinched last night. That's right. We are in the division series again.
Go Stros.
First time. And we won our division for the first time, or for the 8th time in 8 years, 8 full seasons anyway. And so, man, we were 10 games.
We don't even need to steal signals anymore with trash cans. That's how good we are.
Right. Everybody said, the dynasty's dead. The dynasty's dead. And I kept telling everybody, shut your mouth. You don't know who my Stros are. Let me tell you something.
Well, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, comment, call me, send us gifts. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? But mainly like, subscribe, follow. We need to get our following numbers up.
Well, also, we keep talking about merch. Tell us what kind of merch you want. What kind of merch do you guys want to see from the Bizfluent podcast? I mean, we got a super dope logo that was designed by one of our friends. So, I mean, honestly, let us know what you guys are looking for.
Ooh, gold bars. We could do gold gram bars with the logo on it. That'd be kind of cool. And that's not too expensive. Yeah. That way it's an investment sign. Man, yeah, we can come up with some cool stuff.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a blessed day. We're out.
Peace.